Welcome to another playoff edition of the Bold Take Podcast, NFL playoff edition. That's Austin Hill. I'm Austin Wader. Matching shirts, close kinda here for the Bold Take Podcast. We
Yeah.
both understood the assignment here for this one. And you'll know what we're talking about when we say we understood the assignment in just a bit when we dive into these. But NFL edition of the Bold Take Podcast here. Man, oh man, what a weekend we had, Austin. Basically, maybe one of the best wild card weekends in the history of the playoffs that we've ever seen, except for one or two games that maybe didn't live up to it. But I mean, overall, a great weekend, obviously, for you, specifically from what was
Yeah.
a great game there. So, what are we wasting time here, Austin? Let's dive into it from the jump here. Wild card weekend, our first game was Saturday. It was the big one that people were kind of keeping an eye on. Rams Panthers. This is the one where everyone thought Rams were just going to go in and dominate the Panthers in this game. Everyone thought it was going to be a blowout for the Rams, and it looked like it early on. It was 14-0 Rams early. It looked like it was going to be right there when it came to it. But as this Panthers team has done the whole year, they just never say die. They come back, make it a game, take the lead at one point, but then the Rams answer and take the lead back. Then the Panthers get a block punt to take the lead with 2:30 left in the game. And then Matthew Stafford continues to show why he's one of the top guys for MVP this year with a late touchdown drive to win it 34-31. Great game for both sides. I think it's safe to say LA gets to keep their season going. We'll see what they do when we talk divisional game. And for the Panthers, look, disappointing result here, but a phenomenal season for the Carolina Panthers, winning the NFC South and being competitive, almost taking down a Super Bowl favorite here. But your thoughts on this one from Charlotte?
Yeah, I want to say hats off to Bryce Young in this game. We're talking about what being a season removed from people talking about bench Bryce Young, get rid of Bryce Young. He's a bust. He's had a really good season, full season, led this team to the playoffs and fought like heck to win this game for Carolina. Just an impressive performance. And I think this gets you excited about what Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers can look like. Coker looked really good down the stretch this season. Ted McMillan started to find his groove in the receiving core. If you can, get Rico Dowdle or Chuba Hubbard going in the running game, or maybe even pull somebody else into this running game as a kind of consistent threat running the football, this is going to be an elite offense next year. And we'll be talking about Carolina having a winning record coming into the playoffs and maybe being a real contender. They looked really good this year, and I think they're trending in the right direction. This is definitely a vote of confidence for the front office and for ownership with everything they were able to put together this season. But like you said, Matthew Stafford has been elite this season. He's earning that MVP trophy on into the postseason right now. And it's hard to ignore the way he's playing. Kind of jacked up his finger in this game, and it didn't really seem to bother him. So, man, the Rams, we knew they were going to be a tough team to beat, but I think we can all say this. With the way Carolina was able to play them, there is a game plan, there is a recipe. They are not unbeatable.
Now, and special teams has been a factor that's hurt the Rams all year. There was a blocked punt in this game that was ultimately a result. So if you can get after them on special teams, you got a chance there. But Rams win. They move on to play the team that won a thriller on Saturday night. The Bears beating the Packers 31-27. Austin, I'm just going to talk real quick on then your thoughts, because my goodness, heck of a football game, ladies and gentlemen. If this was the one game you missed from Wild Card Weekend, boy, I'm sorry for you, because this was the game of Wild Card Weekend. First half, you name it, everything was going wrong for the Bears. They couldn't convert any fourth downs. The defense couldn't get any stops. Blink of an eye, it's 21-3 Packers late in the half. And then it was 21-9 Bears starting the fourth quarter. It felt like, man, they had a drive, they had a chance to score a touchdown, got intercepted, but then, bang, touchdown. And then you had the Packers score to follow it. So Packers up by 11 with 6 minutes left. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you have watched the Chicago Bears this year, you knew they had them right where they wanted them. Like, I legit said, I was like, they got them right where they want them. How are they going to do this? And sure enough, touchdown, 2-point conversion in 2 minutes, hold the Packers to 3, a missed field goal, go right down the field with yet another touchdown, and defense gets a stop late for the Bears to win at 31-27, their first playoff win since 2010. Mr. Bears fan himself, Austin Hill, thoughts.
Look, I mean, I think I said it on here. I had been saying it all week. I didn't like the predicament we kind of found ourselves in coming at the end of the season. We split with the Packers, we lose to the 49ers, and I know we closed the season out with a big win against Detroit. But I was just like, we basically knew for the last couple of weeks we were either going to be playing San Francisco, LA, or Green Bay. And obviously San Francisco and LA were going to be tough first round games, but I just had a feeling that if we played Green Bay, it would be the Packers to come out to spoil the Bears fun no matter what, and beat us down. I went to my parents' house on Saturday, and my dad is like, "You ready for the big game tomorrow?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "The Bears game." And I'm like, "Well, actually, they play tonight, and I don't feel good about it at all." And so we watched it over there. And, the first half, like we said, didn't go great. And I wasn't mad. Actually, surprisingly, if you ever watch a sporting event with me, I can sometimes get a little bit testy and a little upset. But in this game, I was like, this team way outperformed expectations. And we were kind of dying the same way we lived in the regular season. Like you said, not converting on fourth downs. What I actually liked in this game was Ben Johnson didn't go conservative just because it's a playoff game. He didn't settle for those long field goals that were going to be tough to hit. He went for it on fourth down, and sometimes it didn't go his way. Honestly, Green Bay kind of shot themselves in the foot on two of these fourth downs, one in the first half, one in the second half.
Yeah.
Interceptions. Who was intercepting the ball inside the 20-yard line on two different possessions, one inside the 5-yard line on fourth down? You drop the football and take the 20-plus yards of better field position.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the field position game is what killed the Packers in this game. The Bears were not punished for going for it on fourth down in this game. Caleb Williams threw two interceptions in this game, and they really don't count as interceptions because they worked better than an incomplete pass. It was better than an incomplete pass on both interceptions. But I liked that he stuck to his guns. I liked that he trusted the same guys over and over again. We didn't do anything different. And in that second half, you saw the same team you saw all season long. And look, this is what I talk about. Some people don't like Caleb Williams, and maybe it's because he wears a dress sometimes, and maybe it's because he paints his fingernails. But it's never because he's a good or bad football player. No, look, I'm so tired of the completion percentage conversation. Brock Purdy threw 5 interceptions coming back from injury against the Carolina Panthers. And all you heard in that game against the Niners was Caleb Williams' completion percentage is just not good. He threw the ball better than Brock Purdy in that game, and he didn't turn the ball over. But it's always the conversation with Caleb Williams. But why you want a guy like Caleb Williams? Watch this game. 4th and 8, season on the line. Romo Dunze. Who makes that throw? Maybe Patrick Mahomes?
That fourth down was one of, I'm not going to lie, when I saw that throw, I was like, that's one of the best throws I've ever seen. Like, I don't know how you couldn't sit there and just not say that.
It's rolling out to your left against your body, fires it to, throws Romo Dunze wide open. How about the touchdown to DJ Moore? Another phenomenal throw, another great read against the defense. He made the plays when they matter. That's what Caleb Williams does so well. He gets so much crap for extending plays and holding on to the ball too long. But look, it is yet to cost the Chicago Bears. When it mattered most, his athleticism, his willingness to hold on to the ball, to hang in, to make the throw nobody else can make, won the Chicago Bears their first playoff game since 2010. Dennis Allen, let's stay out of the man coverage. That's my biggest critique from this game. We got gutted. Well, not man coverage. We got gutted in zone coverage in this game. I know we're not the best like man-to-man team, and I know Kyler Gordon's not healthy as healthy. He did play in this game. Tyreek Stevenson's not as healthy, and he hasn't played a lot this season. But look, Jalen Johnson, look at what he did. I mean, if you watch those every drive in the second half in man coverage, Christian Watson against Jalen Johnson is just nothing. That's what Jalen Johnson does best. And when we can get pressure on the quarterback, when we can not let Jordan Love just sit there and pick apart the zone coverage, we do so much better. Um, let's get into man. Let's bring pressure. Let's make Matthew Stafford really work for it. I know Puka's good. I know Devontae Adams is good, but we got carved in zone coverage, and the man coverage was just the better play. But this was an awesome game, an awesome performance. They stuck to their guns. They did what they did all season long, and they pulled out another gutsy victory. I'm excited. Again, it's hard after every passing week to not get more excited about what this team might do this season, because if you can't win that game as Green Bay, how can you beat this team?
Mhm. Yeah, I was about to say, you think about it from the Green Bay perspective, obviously, blowing that lead. Now the question's about what's Matt LaFleur's future there, which, someone brought up a good point. If you really think about it, if the 7 seed did not exist, it's 3 straight years the Packers are missing the playoffs, and this is a whole different dynamic we're discussing here with them. But we'll see where that goes. We'll dive more maybe into that whenever we get into the coaching stuff, because boy, we've had more coaching stuff happen since the last time we talked here. But Bears are moving on 31-27. The only thing I want to add to this is Bears fans, I gotta know, how did you get the cheese graters through security into the stadium?
I I know it must be like special event. They're like,
Yeah.
we know why you got a cheese grater, bring it on in.
Like that was legit my thoughts. I was like, wait a minute, how'd they get that through secure? I've been to an NFL game and the security I don't think would allow a cheese grater, but they're probably like, yeah, we know you're not going to cause any harm with that. We know you're just going to do that when they beat the Packers. We'll get it. We
Yeah.
get it. But no, great game here. And like I said, it was funny because I was watching, my mom and sister were in the room. And I told them, it was like 6 minutes. I was like, the Bears got them right where they want them. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, the Bears have literally, the last 6 minutes of the Bears games are when you need to buckle up because you don't know what's going to happen in the end of those final
Yeah.
6 minutes. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened here. But let's move to Sunday here. Boy, oh boy, it was a matchup we kept our eyes on. Bills and Jaguars started us off on Sunday. Another great game. Two teams that, again, just for reference, if you didn't hear last week, both our Super Bowl representatives from the AFC came from this matchup, and it was two different teams. So we are both very high on the
Yeah.
teams entering this matchup here. A great game. It looked like Jacksonville at points was going to pull away from Buffalo, but then the Bills kept on answering. A great back and forth game, especially the fourth quarter. I think there was 4 lead changes in this fourth quarter where the Bills ultimately came out on top, winning 27-24 and moving on to the divisional round. They've got a day with the 1 seed Denver Broncos. Main takeaway for me, though, Josh Allen, again, we know how good he is, but if you watched this game, ladies and gentlemen, you saw how tough Josh Allen was. First of all, got evaluated for a concussion because a defensive lineman literally sat on his head. I literally watched the replay. I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not a good look. Then he throws a pass, hits his helmet off his offensive lineman's finger, so he has to go get evaluated for that. Then he scores a rushing touchdown and hurts his knee, has to go get evaluated for that. And guess what? Even with all that, he's like, let me throw a deep ball. Let's go get a game winning drive to win it. And then the Bills scored. And, your thought might have been different mine, but I saw a minute left, down by 3, and you got to get in Cam Little's field goal range. Oh, this is no problem for Jacksonville. I don't know if he'll
Yeah.
make it, but they're at least going to get an attempt. But Trevor Lawrence makes the interception at the end of the game, and Buffalo escapes Duval with the victory. Great game between two teams that, again, me and you were high on there in these playoffs.
Yeah, this was an awesome performance. The Jaguars have nothing to hang their heads on. Like, this was a great game for them. But look, this is the danger and the threat of the Buffalo Bills, is that Josh Allen can and will do it all. And when you allow Josh Allen to control the game in every facet, and you allow him to get going in every single layer of this offense, like he was in this game, this team is absolutely unstoppable. Josh Allen is why this team has been a contender since he got there, and he is just this kind of difference-making, game-changing piece that any franchise would love to have. And for him to go out there and put in the effort that he did, it was phenomenal. A phenomenal effort, and the tush push from 10 yards out that almost gets him in the end zone is unbelievable. It was just a great work all around from this offense, but this is what you have to be scared of. Josh Allen can do everything this offense needs him to do, and you've got to find a way to stop him.
Yeah, and I was so sick and tired of the narrative that people were building up the whole week. People at certain networks, we could probably figure out who, talking about that it was all on Josh Allen and this and that. And then you go and say if they fail, it's all his fault. Well, okay, they won, so you better give the man his credit whenever he now that he's gone and won
Yeah.
there. So, but I'm also tired of people like, man, he's so bad in the playoffs. What are you talking about? Because he lost the
AFC
games? Have
Championship
you not
last
seen
year?
him in these games where they've lost? Where he's given players chances at passes where we're like, there's no reason that guy should even have a chance there. Or scoring touchdowns in the final seconds for, well, I get if you're upset with his playoff win-loss record, but to say he's bad in the playoffs, that was one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard in the history of my entire life was when people were saying that last week.
That's like calling Clayton Kershaw the greatest postseason pitcher of all time, because if you look at his win-loss record, the Dodgers have had some fair success with Clayton Kershaw on the roster. Yeah, you look at his statistics, and he is
Mhm.
statistically the worst pitcher in the history of MLB's postseason. It's the exact opposite of Josh Allen. And I mean, look, I guess this is coming from two guys that got to watch him play in the AFC Championship last year.
Right.
But I mean, the guy puts on an absolute clinic in every game he's a part of. To
Yeah.
say that he under delivers or he's some kind of postseason failure is unbelievable. When Joe Burrow and Josh Allen or and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are the guys that are having to stop you in the postseason, I think that tells a pretty good story. He's not getting put out by nobodies. He's going toe to toe with the best in the AFC and coming up just short.
Yeah, it really was. But Buffalo's moving on there. Not the only six seed moving on. The San Francisco 49ers go into Philly and take down the defending Super Bowl champs 23-19. We are going to have an entirely new Super Bowl matchup this year. There will be no repeat champion. Niners win 23-19. And look, I'll say it like it is. This was an ugly game. Both teams scored early, and it played out kind of exactly how I thought it was. And I'm sure you would agree. But again, Austin, the difference, the Eagles offense stalls once again in the second half. Only 6 points in the second half, 2 field goal attempts. Niners capitalized with some touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and it ultimately results in a loss here. And now, obviously, whenever we dive more into it, some coordinator changes going on in Philly as we speak right now. But we're going to have no repeat champion this year as the Niners get the win there. But the big thing for the Niners for the rest of their postseason, George Kittle suffering that severe Achilles injury. He's out for the remainder of the playoffs. Who knows if he'll even play next year at all with
Yeah.
the date of this injury. But yeah, I know you've been high on Jalen Hurts, Saquon, the Eagles. You have been trying to build them up. You thought the confidence in the offense would be there. Same story the entire season, though, pretty much in this one.
Yeah. This was the cherry on top. Patullo had to go. Like, there's just no reason that this offense should be so different than it was last year. What's the difference? Kevin Patullo is the difference. And look, I'm not saying AJ Brown. It's time to get to work this offseason. We've heard a lot of AJ Brown talking over the past couple of years.
Yes, we have.
And I'm not going to say that he's a bad, but he's one of the better receivers in the NFL. But this season and this game, it's time to get to work and bring your A game, because this was not the AJ Brown that we've come to know. Jalen Hurts didn't have a great game in this one, but look, Saquon Barkley did get it going at the end of the
Yes.
season. Another 100-yard rushing game. I think play calling is a big thing we can point our fingers at in this one, but we'll
Yeah.
see what happens with this team when they run it back next year. Will they look different? But you could see in this game, the last play of the
Oh
season on
boy.
offense for this
Oh
team
boy.
Where Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni are like making faces at each other while Patullo is making a play call.
Like what?
If you're both that unconfident, look, I'm sorry, as a quarterback, as a head coach, one of you has got to step up and say, no, we're running a different play.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess hats off to them for like sticking by the coordinator, but at the same time, if it's to the point where like you're making faces and like, what is this guy talking about? Clearly, you're not like gonna stick up for this guy. Like you're not buds where you're gonna be like, oh, this guy, give him another season and we'll be all right. Um, I think it's crazy. I think that goes to show what was a big difference for this team. Obviously, we'll see kind of what they look like next season. But for the 49ers, another good game. But again, kind of like I was worried about with the Rams when I was thinking about the potential of the Bears had to play the Rams in the first round. Same thing with the 49ers. Uh, Kind of coming in hot into this postseason. But the Niners lose that game to Seattle.
Mhm.
They come in and, like you said, kind of an ugly game where they kind of grind it out at the end. Um, the teams at the top, the teams that were hot, they look beatable. Again, I'm not trying to hype up the Bears too much, but nobody looks perfect right now, and I think that's opening the doors on both sides,
Yeah.
AFC and NFC. So hats off to the Niners for getting it done in a gritty game. That's what they've done all season long.
Hmm.
Next man up, grind it out, get it done. And they were able to do it against the defending Super Bowl champions, who I feel like had some momentum coming into this one.
Yeah, once again, I will say give Kyle Shanahan Coach of the Year. I've no disrespect to any other candidates, but give Kyle
Agreed.
Shanahan Coach of the Year.
Agreed.
That is what I will say here. Especially if they manage to pull something off on Saturday, that would be quite a shocker if they can pull
No
that one
kidding.
off. But final two games we're going to talk about, not the greatest. Those first four, you're like, yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
These final two, you're due for some stinkers in wild card weekend. These, unfortunately, two were the stinkers, and they were in prime time. Patriots beating the Chargers 16-3. This was just a grinded out game where neither offense could get it going. And there's a reason Jesse Minter, the Chargers DC, is getting head coaching opportunities, is because the defense for the Chargers gave them every chance they could in this game. And the Chargers offense couldn't do anything, and the dam finally broke here. Herbert was pressured on 30 of 44 dropbacks in this game. That's the second highest in a game this season. You want to know what was number one? Justin Herbert against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I mean, like, if that doesn't explain what hurt the Chargers in this game, they had all these injuries to the O line. They're playing basically with fifth string guys on the offensive line. Like the PFF rankings, whenever they're doing the Sunday Night Football starting lineups, was center is 41 out of 41 centers. I'm like, oh, good Lord. Drake May throws a touchdown to Hunter Henry, really kind of was the difference in the game, a 16-3 final. Patriots, it was ugly. They found a way to win. Chargers, I mean, just a rough day. You got to get more depth on this O line.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stat says it. 41 out of 41 centers. There are 32 teams in the NFL. That means you're behind some second stringers in the analytics.
Oh, boy.
I mean, if that doesn't tell you what's wrong, and you're right, they got to get healthy on the offensive line. I believe it was you that I messaged when Justin Herbert took that one lick
Yeah.
in the game, and I was like, that made my stomach like that actually made me sick to my stomach. He wasn't just getting sacked; he was getting just hit sticked in this game. It was just a free pass uh to Justin Herbert, and that's not good. That's
Mm-mm.
just not good. This and again, this Patriots defensive line is statistically one of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah.
They don't generate pressures. They don't get sacks like this. Um, there are a lot of people coming out and saying Justin Herbert's he's just not a postseason guy. And
Yeah.
I'll give you this. His statistics aren't great in the postseason. But my goodness, the guy has he had a good offensive line in a postseason run yet? I mean, that's been the story of Justin Herbert's career. Sure, maybe he hasn't risen in the bright lights yet, but he's got to be one of the most sacked quarterbacks thus far in his
Yeah.
career. He's just taken a beating. I say hats off to him. I mean, still rushed for 57 yards. The team's leading rusher with the way he took a beating in this game. I know it's not like college where they, subtract you rushing yards on sacks, but still, I think to get 10 attempts and 57 yards rushing with the beating he took, that's something. But yeah, Patriots played a good game. Another one of those grinded out games. Um, but yeah, this was a great, great effort uh, by their defense to affect Justin Herbert and limit this Chargers offense to 3 points.
Yeah, and Harbaugh saw enough there. He's already made some changes there that we'll dive into in here in just a minute. Our last game we're going to talk about, I really don't want to talk about it, but also I need to talk about it in order to talk about another thing after it. Texans beating the Steelers 30-6 here. You watched this game for 3 quarters. You're like, how the heck did this turn into 30-6? This was a 7-6 game entering the fourth, and it was just this Texans defense just took it up to another level in the fourth quarter of this game. I was literally sitting there. For those of you who don't know, Steeler fan here, I was just in there like, God dang, how the frick are we going to do anything against this? And I knew early in this game when we got the turnover inside the red zone and we were inside the 20 and we got held to 3. I'm like, I don't like that because against this Texans team, you know how many chances you're going to have to score touchdowns against them in this kind of situation? Not a lot. And when they got held to 3, I knew it was a pretty rough sign, and they just blew this out of proportion in the fourth quarter. But man, I tell you what, Texans defense, hats off to you. CJ Stroud, I kind of think he was trying to give the Steelers this game. He made a lot of mistakes in
Yeah.
this football game. I'm not going to lie to you. Still love CJ Stroud. I always like rooting for him. But he needs to clean up the turnovers if they're going to go pull off an upset in New England this next week. But your thoughts from this Texans beatdown on Monday Night Football?
Well, I'll go on the record to say C.J. Stroud was the Steelers' best player on Monday night. He
I'm not
really was.
disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
He gifted them a lot of opportunities. But look, we talk about another team with not a great offensive line. And look, I will say this, the fumbles were pretty much CJ Stroud's fault,
Mhm.
but he did get a lot of pressure in this game, and he's gotten a lot of pressure all season. I found it funny after the first fumble, they're like, CJ Stroud is the only quarterback this regular season to not lose a single fumble in the regular season. He got his money's worth in this game. I mean, goodness. Uh, but look, until I don't know, 7, 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, this was the worst football game I've ever watched in my entire life. It was 7-6. And I was just like, what's gonna happen? And then, kind of like you talked about in the Patriots game, but I think to an even higher degree, the dam finally broke and points came out just at a premium. It was just pouring it on, pouring it on. And look, with it all those defensive touchdowns being Aaron Rodgers' fault, you know me. Oh, I was laughing. I was enjoying every minute of it. When he got absolutely stuck on that fumble,
Mm.
I was like, please be hurt. Please be seriously hurt. That's what I was hoping for. If that tells you what it's like for me watching Aaron Rodgers play
Oh,
football. I was like, I just a second ago I talked about how sick I was when I watched Justin Herbert get hit extremely hard. But when it happens to Aaron Rodgers, I am hoping for the absolute worst. But then to have that pick six be the last, hopefully the last pass of his
it was
NFL
like chef's
career.
kiss for you. It was like,
I
you.
was like, that is all, and for him to get like trucked on the sideline. Oh man, that was a clinical pick six. It was done per, and I here's what I'm thinking. You're 40 something years old, and you're gonna try and chase down this like prime of his life safety. You think he's really gonna let you drag him out of bounds when he has a chance to score a playoff touchdown? Absolutely not. And what's even funnier is he's going like 100 miles an hour, and the offensive linemen and receivers are walking. They have
Yeah,
given the game is
no,
over in
yeah.
their book. They're letting him score. But I loved the last 8 minutes of this game. It was pure Aaron Rodgers torture. It was awesome. But look, again, it was a bad
It
game.
was.
Texans defense was awesome. I'll even say Steelers defense was awesome. They made him make mistakes. But these offense, I mean, it just came down to which defense could score more points.
Yeah.
Ultimately pushed the Texans way out of reach here. Um, but man, what a game! What an ugly game. And if you're not a sicko like me, you probably didn't enjoy this game at all. But man, the fourth quarter was awesome.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who do not know, so we like for the Bears Packers game, I sent him a message like before the game of saying good luck, and I saw that he like I don't know if it was you didn't respond or like you didn't even look. I was like, oh, he's locked in. Like I don't even need to.
Yeah.
But it was funny Monday night, right when the Steelers Texans game was starting. He's like, as much as it pains me to say this, good luck to you and Aaron Rodgers tonight. And I was like, thank you. I know that was really tough for you to say. Like it was through gritted teeth. So
Yes.
I was sitting there and I knew good name. I was like, Austin's having the time of his life in these final 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what you were going through there.
I wanted to return the favor because it was a nice gesture. And I was like, I should return the favor.
But
Um,
but
but it certainly was tough to like tell anyone, even though I was rooting against the Steelers, it was tough to even wish anyone good luck that has even the closest relation to Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers right now.
that is fair there. But hey, due to some changes there, I don't think you really have to worry about seeing him again. At least not in Pittsburgh. At least that's what I'm hoping
Yeah,
for.
not in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
fortunately.
But that's it for the wild card games. We'll dive into the divisional round in a second, but we got to talk about some more coaching news. A lot more stuff has come out since we last talked. And let's talk about the one that literally happened a few days after we talked. I said word for word on here. I was like, as of now, Mike McDaniel still has his job. Well, as of now, he no longer has his job. Mike McDaniel fired by the Miami Dolphins here. If you missed last week, and again, if you don't know this man, Austin Hill, diehard Mike McDaniel fan. He roots and loves Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel. Your thoughts on here. We know you're not happy with it, but I mean, what are your thoughts here on this move?
Again, we talked about it. I could understand why you would fire him, but again, he hasn't gotten the fairest shake. And when he has, he took him to the playoffs that one time.
Yeah,
Uh, but it makes sense, right? It
right.
came out that they were in huge pursuit of John Harbaugh, and I think that makes sense. John Harbaugh is a guy to get. I think seeing John Harbaugh on the block is a guy you want to go after, a guy you want to bring in as a coach. Um, and Mike McDaniel's had more than his fair share of chances. Like giving him another opportunity next year, as much as I would have loved it, it would have been an extremely generous
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. It would have been what I would have called not a second chance, but a third chance at the very least. I like him. I think anybody looking for an OC, or maybe even if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a head coach, I would get Mike McDaniel. He's gonna look. He's gonna care about the guys. He's gonna be fun. He's gonna be creative. He's got the right mindset as a coach. It just didn't work out in Miami. So yeah, it does suck that he ended up getting fired. But like you said, as of now, he was the head coach, and now he's not. And it's understandable. As much as I'd like to see him coaching the Miami Dolphins, he had his chances, and it just hasn't worked out. That doesn't mean he can't go somewhere else and be
Right.
great. I mean, Bill Belichick didn't start out as the greatest
Yeah.
head coach of all time. Sometimes you just got to find the right place and the right time. And so I'm excited to see what Mike McDaniels does. But yeah, I think this is the right opportunity. It's like a full reset. GM's gone. Let's bring in a new head coach. Probably going to be bringing in a new quarterback with the way the
Mm-hmm.
kind of Tua situation went down at the end of the season. Or you'll be going with Quinn Ewers. But it's going to be a new culture, a new vibe. I'd expect Tyreek Hill to probably get dealt. So yeah, I think this is, as much as it pains me to say, the right move
Mm-hmm.
for the Miami Dolphins as far as kind of getting a reset and trying to rebuild and be competitive once more.
Absolutely. And you talked about maybe probably not in the draft. We'll probably dive into some of that in the college football episode coming out after this about some news that broke involving a quarterback that was projected to go high in the draft, making a very surprising move there. That's all I'll leave it at. If you want to know what we're talking about, what our thoughts are, college football episode, make sure you give that a watch whenever you get the chance. But yeah,
Very mature decision, I'll say. I was very impressed. I thought if I'm an NFL GM, write that down. Great maturity,
hmm
because this decision is like, maybe it sucks as a team picking the top of this draft. Didn't want to carry too much into this, but I think it's a very mature decision. Again, you want to get our full thoughts on it. College football episode come out soon.
Yeah, there's a certain someone that went to the Jets second overall. I bet he's wishing he pulled that move off, is what I will say.
Yeah.
But the other big news that happened here, another head coach move, the one that I have been asking for since the year 2018, really was the year I started. Mike Tomlin is stepping down as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Again, important thing to note here, he was not fired. He is stepping down. And many people say they expect him to take a year off, go do TV, which if you've heard the man in his quotes, you'd know he'd be good for TV.
It would
Um,
be.
but take a year off, kind of do the Sean Payton move, where take a year off and then come and do coaching the next year, and they would have to trade for him. So all the people who are like, well, someone trade for Mike Tomlin. You'll get your wish if you want him as your coach next year. But anyway, look, I'll just say my thoughts really quick here. It was time. Speaking as a Steelers fan, really since 2018, it has been time. Honestly, you could have fired him after the 2018 season. I would have been like, that's absolutely valid. But
Yeah.
just year after year, I mean, the people, and this is the frustrating part. It's all the national media just want to continue to talk about, how great it was. Mike Tomlin was taking these bad teams to the playoffs and getting them 9-8, 10-7 every
He
year.
never had a losing record in
Yeah,
19 years. Aren't you
never had a
done hearing that?
Yeah, he's never had a losing record, never had a losing record. But to all national media are like, he's taking these bad teams to the playoffs. He's one of the best coaches ever. Yeah, if he's been there 20 years, who do you think has a say in what the roster is? You're telling
Yeah.
me a coach that hasn't been with a team for that long doesn't have any say on what the roster is? He's been there longer than the new GM's been there. Of course, he's going to have a say on what this roster is. So when the roster's bad, guess who should get the blame just as much as the GM? The head coach, if he's been there that long. So, look, obviously, with this, otherwise, I could go on a full tangent. Um, if you want to have my live reaction, the Always Wrong podcast with David Green is where you can find that
It's an awesome clip. It is an awesome clip. The way
out.
David is just like Mike Tomlin was just fired.
Like
Mike
he
Tomlin,
he he
ladies
said
and
he told me
gentlemen.
he didn't even check the news. He just knew right away. He
Yeah,
just
it's
knew that that's what it was.
and you can really tell he never looks down. He's always looking at the screen. It's just like, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Tomlin was just fired. Mike Tomlin was just fired.
Oh, so yeah. So if you want to go over there and watch it, uh, recommend you there. But I'll leave this. It was time, and I cannot lie. I am so freaking excited to have a new coach. For those of you who do not know, this will be the Steelers' fourth head coach since 1969. Just think about that. In a long time it's been. But I mean, well, what are your thoughts on not a Steeler fan perspective here? What are your thoughts on it?
Not biased, but I'm kind of glad they went out a classier way. I thought the John Harbaugh firing, after how long he's been with the
Mm-hmm.
team and all the success he's had, one, I don't think it was a smart move for the franchise. Personally, I just don't. And especially this year, out of all years,
Right,
when the
right.
team is so banged up. But last week's episode, if you want to get my full thoughts on that one.
Yeah.
But it's also just not classy to fire a guy who's been there that long, been a staple of the franchise. And so that's one thing I'll give the Steelers credit for. It's time to go and it's time to do something different. I agree. But to let him come out and step down, we all know probably not as much of a choice as it sounds to
Mm-hmm.
step down, but it's a more classy move. It gives him a more, a better send off. And again, like you talked about, he takes a year off, he does TV, whatever, and he wants to come back to coaching. Somebody's going to have to trade for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's a smart move just for your franchise. Uh, you get to keep him on contract, and if somebody else wants to acquire Mike Tomlin services, they have to pay for it to some degree. So I think it's a classy move while being the right call and kind of a change for this team. They definitely needed to head in a different direction, and now they'll be able to do that at a higher capacity. Really,
Yeah, I am so excited to get a coach with modern schemes, modern thoughts. Again, Mike Tomlin's been the head coach here since 2007. So to say in today's NFL he's basically like a dinosaur, That's pretty much how it is nowadays here, especially when you look at the staff and the way he's built the team. Back in like 2007, that time, Steelers team's probably one of the best ones still in the NFL, but it's not 2007 anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at
That
that.
Arthur Smith offense doesn't do it for you.
No, Detroit Lions OC job is open and they're interviewing him for it. Dan, do
Go
not
on.
do it. Don't do it,
Well,
please.
no. Send him on. Get him out of Pittsburgh. Send him on.
Now, Arizona Cardinals also interviewed him for their head coaching job, and I was like, "Oh no, please, no, no." I know it was just as surprising to me. I couldn't
So you're
believe
gonna fire Jonathan Gannon and then go to one of the literal worst offensive minds in the entire NFL.
Jonnu Smith, Arizona Cardinal next year. You might as well book it and guarantee it. Jonnu Smith and him have got the greatest relationship
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Find an app where you can bet it and bet it.
But honestly, with that, that was the last coaching change as of right now, and that leaves 9 coaching vacancies, and we're like, wow, that's a lot. Still not the most ever. Most ever still was 2022 when there was 10 head coaching vacancies. And you want to know a fun fact? 8 of those 10 have already been fired. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that, how that goes there. But nonetheless, here you kind of hinted at with Kevin Patullo with the Eagles. Look, this is one where he's, from what I've heard, it was originally he was fired, but now he's moving to a different role in the coaching staff. Basically, the important thing is he's not calling plays anymore for the Eagles. And like you said, if you looked at this team and coaching, it was time. It was time to make that move with how bad that offense had been. And then obviously the other one I'm trying to refer to, Greg Roman fired by the Chargers the day after. And this is a smart move to me by Jim Harbaugh. He said, look, I get the injuries and all, but Justin Herbert nearly died this year. We got to find someone that's going to protect him and give him better chances here offensively. So I respect that move as well, but those are some coordinator changes. Any of those intrigue you? And better yet, I'll ask you this. Let me ask you this. If Mike McDaniel, he's interviewing for head coaching jobs, but if he decides to go the OC route, number one, he's everyone's number one option, I think.
I agree.
Where do you think he would fit the best as an OC of all these opens, where it's in Tampa, Philly, Detroit, all of? I mean, I could you name it, whichever ones are available. Which one do you think is the best fit for him?
I mean, look, you look at a team like Philly, or even Tampa. Look at the offense that Shanahan runs, or McVay runs.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this, play action, kind of heavy on the run, and you build off that play action. Sounds like Philly to me, right? Get Saquon pounding the ball, get him running for 100 yards, and then you just pull it out. And who do you have? Oh, just AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert to throw the ball to on the play action. And kind of my same thought in Tampa. You got Baker at QB. You got Bucky Irving in the backfield. You get Bucky going. Not hard to get Bucky Irving going. You
No.
get Bucky going, and then you've got Mike Evans. You've got Chris Godwin. You've got Emeka Ibuka. I was trying to think of him. And those guys are hopefully all going to be healthy next year. And Tampa, not that far away.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
they're good options there. I'm not going to disagree with you.
maybe Washington, Jaden McDaniels. I think, or Jaden Daniel, not Jaden McDaniel. You kind of look at the running back room, and yeah, they did have some excitement, but it kind of died down at the end of the
Yeah.
year. Maybe Austin Eckler comes back, but I'd like to see them. If you're going to bring in a guy like Mike McDaniel, you're going to try and focus on being a little bit run heavier,
Mhm.
with that kind of Shanahan scheme. Then I think you definitely got to look at an improvement in the running back room. But yeah, I think those are a couple spots. I mean, if you're Philly, I don't know how Mike McDaniel's not a guy you're going after. That offensive scheme would be, I think, at least to me, would be fun to see with the guys and the pieces that they have. I think they, to me, jump right back to the top of list of
Mhm.
Super Bowl contenders next season.
Again, I know you don't want him there for for obvious reasons, but I tell you what, Detroit. Man, oh
No,
man.
no, no,
I know that your reaction there tells me how I know it's a good fit. I mean that tells me
no.
right there how I know it's a good fit.
Yeah, I don't want that. Keep him out of
No.
the NFC North.
That's fair and that's valid. That I wouldn't it's just like if I saw, the Ravens had only fired the OC and they brought him in as OC, I'd be like, no, don't bring him
No.
in. Don't bring him in with Lamar Jackson and them. Don't do it. But those are the main coaching moves. But Austin, we've got one coaching hire that's been made. We got our first one. It happened late last night around 10 p.m., if I'm being honest. John
Yeah.
Harbaugh hired as the New York Giants head coach. Reports are the deal is a 5-year, $100 million contract for John Harbaugh. And look, the second he was fired by the Ravens, me, you, and everyone else said this is the number one guy. And really it was until he got the job, we wouldn't know what the other dominoes were going to fall in this coaching search. But he's going to the Giants, a team with a lot of
Exactly.
talent on the roster. And now you bring a coach in with this kind of level of experience. And from what I've heard, he plans to bring Todd Monken, the OC, with him, which is getting head coaching interviews. And I've told Dolphins DC Anthony Weaver is expected to come with him too, who is another underrated one this year. Good staff to go along with a veteran coach with a young team. Sounds like a pretty good win to me if I'm a Giants fan.
Yeah. I love this. How do you get a bunch of young guys with a lot of talent kind of grow up next year and start to develop? Hey, get them, one of the consistently head coaches in the NFL for the last almost 20 years. Guy with some Super Bowl experience, got a ring or two to show for it. And have him come in and coach these guys and let him in this all-star staff. Uh, we'll see what happens. Obviously, just because you're successful in one place, kind of like we talked about Mike McDaniel not being successful, doesn't mean you will never be
Mm-hmm.
successful. Same thing, just because you're successful somewhere else doesn't mean that automatically turns you into just, uh, uh you know, Super Bowl contenders and you're going to be great. But this is a good hop. I like this for the building of this team. I think again, you got confidence in guys like Scadaboo. You got confidence in Jackson Dart. This defense is really built tough, and it just needs the right kind of molding and mentorship
Mm-hmm.
to make it like one of the best in NFL. And so, yeah, I really love this move. And uh, I love the way, speaking of the Giants, talking about kind of developing, did you see kind of the speech that Abdul Carter gave in the locker room after their
Yes,
last game?
I did. I did see that.
Where he was like, we don't want to be this. I know we're happy we won our last game, but this is not where we want to be at the end of the season, and hopefully next year. And I thought, after a season that's kind of we talked about his immaturity, the way he's grown up in the last 5 weeks of the season, I think has been pretty impressive. And I think it's got a lot of people buying back in to him and his talent, like they were when he was drafted there.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of young pieces there, high draft picks. I'm very interested to see where he goes. But he was the domino effect because I know the Falcons really wanted to give him a chance. I know there were several, pretty much a lot of NFL teams wanted a chance at him. And now that he's off the market, I think you'll see more hires happen a lot quicker now in this coaching carousel. Now that he's out the window, but the main thing is I am so glad that with him there now, I can finally get the thing out of my head of the thought of John Harbaugh as the Steelers coach. Because that was
Yeah.
always the joke I heard was like, hey, let's just swap coaches and see what happens here. So
Trevor texted me and he said, "Should the Steelers just hire Harbaugh and the Ravens hire Tomlin?" I was like, honestly, why not?
I was about I tell you what, it'd make that division a must see TV. I'm not gonna lie. It would
Yeah,
make it must see TV. But great hire there. We'll see where the rest of these coaching hires go. Some names keeping on. Chris Shula. A lot of Rams staff members are getting a lot of love, which is fair. If you're going to think about the most modern thing, Sean
yeah.
McVay's coaching staff has had some good work, except for a certain Cincinnati Bengals coach who was just absolutely awful.
The
Um,
Zach Taylor beef will never die.
no.
And honestly, it gets funnier every year that he's still the Cincinnati Bengals head coach. Because at this point, it's just you're over the top, just confused. But because look, I'll be honest, when you were like he's going to be the coach to be fired, the year they ended up going to the Super Bowl, I was like, it's not a crazy take, but I don't know if that's where I'm going. But every year that he's still the head coach, I get a little bit more. I get closer to joining your side of the argument. Where I'm with you. How do you not get fired after this season? I know Joe Burrow gets hurt, but Joe Burrow gets hurt every year, and it's kind of a little bit your fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, and I mean, he's the last one standing. Just think about that. I mean, just think about that. Of all the coaches in the AFC North this year, he is the only one that is
He's
going
the
to be the
guy.
same. I mean, if you would have told me, it's like if you would have bet money, who would have been the one coach survive? I would have bet money on Mike Tomlin. That would have just been my go-to. So, but nonetheless, we're going to dive into the divisional round now. We've talked enough about this coaching carousel. Four great divisional round matchups here. Let's start on Saturday, Austin. What a matchup to kick things off. 3:30 on CBS. Denver Broncos, the one seed in the AFC, hosting the best quarterback left in these playoffs, at least in the AFC side, Josh Allen and the 6 seed Buffalo Bills. Ladies and gentlemen, tell you how close this game is expected. Bills opened up as a 1.5 point favorite. Now it's Broncos a 1 point favorite. Um, Look, in this game, obviously for two sides, various differences. This Denver defense is so good. The offense has its inconsistencies. This offense for Buffalo has been so great, but the defense has its inconsistencies. It kind of feels like strength versus strength and then weakness versus weakness here. So it should be an intriguing matchup in Mile High. I think I know where you're leaning, for obvious reasons here, but I mean, what do you think about this matchup going into it on Saturday?
I think if I'm the Broncos, I'm thinking, shucks, Josh Allen really got to get himself going in this first week. Um, but you've got a great defense to rely on.
Mm-hmm.
I think this game's going to be really close, especially since it's going to be being played in Denver. It's not a gimme by any means, but I like the way the Bills played. I like the way Josh Allen played. Um, you could really say this about both 6 seeds, but they're not really a 6 seed. This
No.
isn't really getting the best draw. Well, I would say in the NFC, this is probably getting the best draw just because it's the Rams or the Bears. Maybe the Bears would be the team as the 1 seed you want to play because
Mm-hmm.
they're the least hot in the NFC. But I mean, even that would be tough. But certainly in the AFC, no offense to the Houston Texans, but if you compare the way the two teams played last week, I think you might want to play that Houston Texans offense, especially
Yeah.
with the defense you have, as opposed to Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen to be able to kind of rise above and put the pressure on the Broncos offense early in this game, a team that, kind of has trouble getting going on offense. But I like Josh Allen to come through and kind of continue his little Superman act where he does what he needs to do and gets the job done for the Buffalo Bills.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who know, I picked against Josh Allen last week. I picked Jacksonville. I picked Jacksonville to make it to the Super Bowl, and obviously that picks down the drain there, obviously. But you know what, Austin? I looked at it this way, and I looked at it for this game, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're on the Josh Allen bandwagon again. Yeah, I'm going to go with Buffalo in this game. For those of you, if you know where I got this for, what it was for, shout out to you for knowing the reference for that. Looking at this game, actually, though, it comes down to it to me. It's like you said, they got red hot offensively because last week they knew they had to score to keep up with Jacksonville. And they're like, we know what we got to do. Now you're telling them on the road, it's like, I mean, we got to get maybe 1, 2 touchdowns against this Denver defense. We can get that. We can get that in this
Yeah.
game. Plus, also, again, I just don't trust Denver. Again, I want to continue to see them prove it to me. I know it's weird for a 14-3 team saying I don't trust them, but again, if you've watched Denver this year, you have really yet to see a full game played. And the one time they played a really good playoff team at home and they lost to them in Jacksonville, they got down early, so much so they couldn't make a rally late in the game. So I'm going to lean on Buffalo to somehow get the win at the end of the day. Low scoring, close game, but I'll lean Buffalo with this one. And yes, fun fact, David Green, he's talked about that show earlier. He is a Denver Broncos fan, and I put this hat on for picking the Bills in that game. He was not very happy. He was not happy with me at
That's
all.
the clip that needed to get posted on Instagram. That's the clip I needed to see.
I will find it and I will send it to you because it was pretty funny. I thought it was hilarious. He did not find it funny. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I
hilarious.
believe him.
But nonetheless, I agree. I'm going to go with Buffalo with you. And Again, I just think right now you look at these playoffs, only one of these final eight quarterbacks has won a Super Bowl. And so it's really come down to man. So it's really the most talented one left. And Josh Allen's the most talented QB left in the AFC. No disrespect to Drake May or CJ Stroud or Bo Nix. Obviously, they're starting quarterbacks in the NFL, so they're better than me and you. But Josh Allen's on a
Yeah,
freaking different level. And he doesn't have those other guys to worry about here.
I agree. And I honestly, I don't think it's disrespectful. I think you might need to be in an institution if you think Josh Allen's not the best quarterback left in the postseason in general. I like Caleb Williams. I like Matthew Stafford. And I think Matthew Stafford's going to take home the MVP trophy this year. I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback left in the playoffs. That doesn't mean he's the best team, but he's the best quarterback left. And he's got a lot to prove in this game. Again, no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar
Yep.
Jackson. He's had a lot to prove this postseason. I think he's going to continue to prove that.
Yeah, I think so as well. Let's dive into the other matchup on Saturday. Seahawks, the one seed Seattle Seahawks hosting the six seed San Francisco 49ers. Now, big news kind of got announced earlier today. Wasn't really big news, just something to monitor. Sam Darnold questionable for this divisional round game with an oblique injury that he suffered apparently.
Jalen Milrow playoff start. Anybody? First
Actually,
career
from what
start?
I've heard, it would be Drew Lock that would start.
It's why would you ever do that? No, no, that should be illegal. If Jalen Milrow does not start and Sam Darnold's injured, why did you even draft him? Why? Ugh, that makes me sick. If my playoff hopes were hinging on Drew Lock,
Oh no,
I'll
I don't
see
even
you
want to think
next
about
season.
that. Again, Sam
I'll
Darnold
see you
is
next.
expected to play, but I mean, I just that I don't even want
Okay,
to think about that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. You almost made my day by thinking about the possibility of Jalen Milrow getting to play in the postseason, and then you kind of ruined it when you told me Drew Lock is in line to play. So let's hope Sam Darnold is healthy.
yeah, again, because that was my initial reaction. I saw the report come out. I was like, oh my gosh, could Jalen Murray get out? But then they're like, if he can't go, it will be Drew Lock. I'm like, really?
That's
Come
crazy.
on. Like Kenneth Walker and Jalen Milrow running that read option together? Like, good luck stopping that. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's just must see playoff football.
I agree. But nonetheless, the actual matchup with Darnold playing, look, these two met week 18. Seahawks won in San Francisco 13-3. And honestly, you think about it, if that game had gone a different way, we could be looking at this matchup just different home field advantage for the other team. But nonetheless, here, three-fourths of the NFC playoffs that are left are NFC West, and two of them going head to head here in this one. Split the regular season. What do you think happens on Saturday night in Seattle?
Look, they've split it in a visitors one, but I just don't see that happening again. The injuries continue to pile up. I think the 49ers will do what they've done all season. They're going to fight through it. They make no excuses. They keep the game close. But look, Darnold and company, they saw one go in. You let them see one go in. They got that win. They've got the momentum. And look, for them, that's the last game they played.
Yep.
And for the 49ers, look, you lost, and that killed all your momentum coming into the post. Not killed it, but it slowed your momentum down
Right.
coming into the postseason. And then while you did win in pretty impressive fashion against the defending Super Bowl champions, that was another grinded out Grizzly game where he sustained another significant injury. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think in this game, the Seahawks feeling that momentum, keep on going forward. They're going to play the 49ers at a lower point than when they met them in week 18. They've seen that they can get the job done. They're going to be at home in front of the 12th man. I like the Seattle Seahawks to defend home field and move on to the NFC Championship.
Pretty much get out of the way. I agree with you. I'm not going to lie. This, even with the Darnold questions, this is probably the one I feel the most confident in out of any divisional round picks. Again, it's just this Niners team. Look, it's like I said all the regular season when I wasn't picking them. It's not that I don't think they're a good coach team. It's not that I don't think they have good players, but they're playing the literal four strings of their best players in this game against this Seattle Seahawks defense. Now you're telling me no George Kittle in this game. Ricky Pearsall is still not 100%. I mean, man, Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy are going to have to do everything they can to try to even have a chance against the Seahawks defense. I just don't see that happening. even if the Seahawks offense struggles, this defense is just making it too. I just don't see it happening. So I'm going to lean with Seattle to win this one as well. Now, Sunday's action, a fun one to start it off 2 p.m. on ABC. New England Patriots, a 2 seed Patriots hosting the 5 seed Houston Texans in this game. Boy, oh boy, this could be an ugly game. Kind of similar to what Monday Night Football was with the Texans. Nonetheless, you got the Patriots. Kind of defense maybe has some momentum coming off that game against the Chargers, going against the best defensive football in the recent memory in the Houston Texans. Um, Two teams that maybe you look at as kind of in a low scoring affair here, but also two teams looking to get a big win and build some for the future. The Texans have never played for an AFC championship. The Patriots and this core have not played for an AFC championship. This core here. Two teams looking to get to that next level, something that really hasn't been seen for this core in this groups. So what do you see happening in Foxborough Sunday afternoon? Who gets to that AFC championship?
Look, I'm very intrigued by this because it's like the worst of these teams last week versus the best of these teams
Yep.
last week. This Texans defense held them close, kept the game where it needed to be, and then took over in this fourth quarter. And the Patriots offense, while it made plays at the end of the game, it really got limited by the Chargers. The only reason the Chargers were really in this game was because their defense held Drake May until the fourth quarter. Um, and then kind of on the flip side, this Texans offensive line is weak. And even with, a below average statistically defensive line in New England, they got home and they made life miserable for Justin Herbert. And they could do the same thing for CJ Stroud, who struggled against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. Uh, so the defenses are going to be tough in this one. I think this game's going to be close. I'm going to give the nod to the Houston Texans, the defense I saw make more plays. I think it's going to come down to which defense makes more plays. We saw this defense isn't just going to hold teams close, but it's going to get out there and it's not afraid to do the heavy lifting, scoring the football. And I think that this Texans defense could ultimately do something we saw last week, and maybe they're the ones that score the game-winning touchdown. Maybe it's not C.J. Stroud. But I like the momentum they got Woody Marks going for. I think that could take some of the pressure off C.J. Stroud that the Chargers did not have in their run game. Again, Justin Herbert was the leading rusher for the Chargers last week. So I like the momentum that the Texans kind of built with their defense. I think it'll be close, but I like the Texans defense to make the play at the end of this game that wins it for them.
Man, this is probably the toughest pick for me out of them all because I think both teams line up like you said the way the strengths and weaknesses match up for both sides. It leaves it where it's tough for me. It's really tough. With it being so tough for me, how I think both sides kind of match up. I'm going to give the edge to the home team and the Patriots here. And that comes down to pretty much again, like I think two even teams, quarterbacks who are talented, but at points you wonder when's the mistakes are going to happen. Drake May had some, yeah, that interception inside their own 10-yard line against the Chargers. Didn't come back to bite him in that. Might come back to bite him in this game if he does that. And also, again, I just worry about the turnovers with CJ Stroud. And that's ultimately my other thing I trust. It's not that I don't trust CJ Stroud, but last week against that Steelers defense just was not a good performance yet. They still came out and won with that defense. So wouldn't be shocked either way what happens in this one. But I'm going to lean with the home team. I'm going to lean with the Patriots. Then, last game on NBC to cap off the divisional round weekend is a game that I know someone on this show will very much be paying attention to. That is the Chicago Bears, 2 seed Bears, hosting the 5 seed Los Angeles Rams in the NFC divisional round. What a matchup this is here. Great matchup.
Yeah.
Two great offenses going head to head here. And man, oh man. I mean, need I say more? Caleb Williams, Matthew Stafford, these offenses, great offensive coaches in Sean McVay, Ben Johnson. And then the kicker, it's at Soldier Field. Sometimes not the best place for offensive success at points you've seen in recent playoff memory. But if it's like last week, then you never know. We know where you are leaning with this matchup, but go ahead and talk us through it and why you think the Bears are going to get the job done on Sunday night.
Look, this is going to be a close game, closer than I'd probably like it to be. But look, based off of the way these teams played last week and really all season, look, we see it. The Rams get going early. They get momentum early. The Bears are kind of slow starters. Obviously, they want to shake that off and they want to be fast starters. They haven't been fast starters this season. They probably won't be fast starters in this game. But look, the Rams kind of dragged in the later portions of this game. They allowed the Carolina Panthers to get back into the game and make it a contest, and it took a late drive from Matthew Stafford. I just don't think you can allow the Chicago Bears to get back in this game, but I just don't know that any team can stop them from getting back into the game. Even, we look at the end of the season when we played the Niners couldn't keep us out. They were just able to keep the clock, to get the clock down and get out of it. They did not really slow down this offense at the end of the game. They were again, they were fortunate. Time just ran out. Caleb Williams had them on the doorstep knocking. Time just ran out. As great of a defense as the Rams have, again, I just don't know when this team gets rolling in the second half that there's any deficit they can't overcome, and there's any way that any defense can stop them once they get rolling in the second half. I think that's where the Bears win it, like they've done it all season long. They power back in the second half. They cut what seems to be an insurmountable deficit, and they win the football game to advance to the NFC Championship.
Yeah. All right. So this is another tough one for me. Again, both offenses are so good, so I'm expecting a pretty high scoring game here. The over is 48 and a half. Not saying that's going to be my bet of the week, but it's also but I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. Um, and look, the big thing I think that's a weakness for this Rams team is, these extended plays that quarterbacks can make, can sometimes hurt this team and hurt their secondary. And freaking, we've seen Caleb Williams do that his entire college career and to his NFL career now. So if he can pull those off, I think the Bears can absolutely win this game. But with the way these offenses match up, it really comes down to me about which defense do I trust in this game more. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, Austin, I'm going to lean with the Rams defense in this game. The
You're
pass
right.
rush to me, I think ultimately could be the difference in the matchup and then get after Caleb. I'm not saying this won't, again, I expect this to be a high scoring game. I'm expecting this one to be the most entertaining game of the entire divisional round. So I think it'll be great. Comes down to which defense I think can get a stop at the end. I'll lean on the Rams in this one, but it's going to be a great freaking game. I tell you what, as a neutral, I can't wait for it. But for you, I know it's going to be a stressful one.
Yeah, it will be stressful. And look, probably if I wasn't biased, I'd probably lean the Rams a little bit here. I don't think anybody's wrong for picking the Rams in this game. If the NFL was seated strictly on record, the Rams would not be playing, a road game in this one. So uh, they've been a good team. They've been the better team. Hopefully, we can get the edge on Sunday, though.
We will see. I did have a talk, speaking of with David, I had a talk. He said, what are you going to do if it's a Bears versus Broncos Super Bowl? And I told him, I was like, you know what? I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm not going to worry about it before. I'll deal with it whenever we get to time there. But let's dive into this last segment of the show, bet of the week here. Man, oh man, Austin, the Bears Packers under didn't hit for you, but Bears won. So I'm sure you really don't care that much about that happening
I
there.
forgot about my bet.
I don't blame you. Steelers, Texans under. Steelers unders are back. I'm hoping with the new coaching staff, Steelers unders are no longer a thing, and I can just bet Steelers overs because that'd be way more fun. But what do you got for bet of the week for divisional round weekend here? A lot of good options.
I was kind of thinking about Bills plus money, but plus one really isn't anything. You might as
Right.
well go money line. Uh, I'm going Seahawks -7. Not that this game will
Ooh.
be a blowout, but I think the injuries will really start to see maybe a separation in the second half, fourth quarter, where maybe they get up 10 or 14 or maybe 11 or something. Just maybe a field goal or maybe even a late touchdown at the end that just kind of pushes it into the two possession range. Uh, and the Seahawks kind of edge it out over the Niners.
Yeah, that's one I plan to bet. Not my bet of the week, though. Instead, I'm going, you know what? Screw it. Give me Bears Rams over 48.5. Give me a shootout. Give me Buffalo Kansas City level shootout from that iconic divisional round game a few years ago. Give me that level of shootout here. I think with these two offenses, I very much see it happening here. So Bears Rams over 48.5. I got to go with it. I think it could be a real shootout in these games with how good these quarterbacks are, how great these coaches are, and the play calling offensively going against these defenses that did not have the greatest games last week.
Yeah.
But no, you go ahead. You
Over
go ahead. You can
favors
go.
the
No, you go
Bears.
ahead and add if you
Oh,
want to add that in.
yeah. Over favors the Bears. So, hey, if you're taking the over, I'm all for it because if this game's a defensive game, we'll be in trouble.
Yeah. But if there's anything ladies and gentlemen, just make sure you're paying extra attention when there's 6 minutes left in the Bears game. That's where you're like, I got to get my eyes open and focus because you don't know what's going to happen those last 6 minutes. But that's going to do it for this divisional round edition of the Bold Take podcast. Get ready, folks. There's not many NFL games left in this NFL's season. Buckle up here. And we've got one college football game left. National championship Monday night. The college football episode coming out very soon after this one. You do not want to miss it. We'll talk all the big keys and also the biggest transfer portal news. And like we talked about, the hint at that big QB decision. All that going on in that college football episode. You do not want to miss it. But enjoy some NFL playoffs this weekend. That's Austin Hill. I'm Austin Wader, and we want to thank you for listening.